Okay, with our next exercise, we're going to take a look at a make or buy decision, meaning should we make a component part or a needed part. It doesn't necessarily have to be a part. Here we're looking at computer carrying cases. Should the company that already makes laptop computers or portable, they say computers, should they produce their carrying cases in-house or buy them from a third party? Well, again, we want to look at the relevant cost of each alternative. Let's read through it. Jupiter Computer Company has been purchasing carrying cases for its portable computers at a purchase price of $70 per unit. Okay, so they're not manufacturing them in-house, they're buying them from a third party or an outside party. The company, which is currently operating below full capacity, charges factory overhead production at the rate of 40% of direct labor cost. The important part there for the moment is that the company is operating below full capacity, meaning they could produce more in the plant that they're already operating in. In other words, to build the carrying cases, they would not have to build or rent a new manufacturing facility. They could produce the carrying cases in the production facility that they are currently operating in because they're not at full capacity producing portable computers. Okay, the fully absorbed unit cost, that means, and remember from an earlier chapter, fully absorbed means the cost includes direct materials, direct labor, and both variable and fixed factory overhead. So the fully absorbed unit cost to produce comparable carrying cases are expected to be as follows. We have direct materials of $45, direct labor of $20, and factory overhead of $8. So we come out to, if we make them in-house, it's going to cost us $73 each. Or if we purchase them from an outside party, they're only going to cost $70 each. If we compare those two numbers, it seems like the logical choice and the most cost-effective choice would be to purchase the carrying cases from the outside party. However, let's read a little further. The obvious answer, as you'll notice in these problems, is not always the correct one. If Jupiter Computer Company manufactures the carrying cases, fixed factory overhead costs will not increase, and variable factory overhead costs associated with the cases are expected to be only 15% of direct labor costs. Okay, what they're saying is our fixed manufacturing overhead, or our fixed factory overhead, is going to remain the same. Sorry for the pop-up there. No matter if we produce the carrying cases in-house or if we buy them from an outside party. And again, we have the capacity to produce them in-house because we're operating at below full capacity. Okay, so let's head it up here. We have Jupiter Computer Company. This is a differential analysis report. And this time, we only have two options: make or buy. Are we going to make the carrying case or buy it? Okay. We could start with direct materials. Doesn't really matter what you start with, but let's start with direct materials. If we make the carrying cases in-house, our direct materials will be $45. Okay, if we buy the carrying case, then our direct materials cost would be $0. Okay, let's go to direct labor. this column, do we? Our direct labor cost, if we make them in-house, $20. If we buy them, again, 0. Okay, our factory overhead. Now, what portion of the factory overhead is relevant to this decision? Well, you guys, our fixed factory overhead is going to be present whether we make the carrying cases in-house or we buy them from an outside party. Now, that really hinges on us having available capacity. If we were at full capacity, then fixed cost would increase if we made them in-house because we'd need a whole new manufacturing facility. But since we're below full capacity, our fixed cost, our fixed factory overhead is not relevant here because it's going to be present. Say rent on the manufacturing facility is going to be there whether we make the products in-house or we buy them from the third party. So we only want to consider here, I liked it better the other way, we only want to consider the variable portion on factory overhead. Well, they say the fixed portion, no, they say variable factory overhead costs associated with the cases are 15% of direct labor costs. I'm going to put here not just factory overhead, but variable factory overhead. Okay, and it's equal to, again, 15% of direct labor costs. So equals 0.15 times the number above, $3. Okay, now, what about the purchase price if we buy them from an outside party? If we buy the carrying cases from that outside party. Well, the variable factory overhead, if we buy them from the outside party, is 0. The purchase price, well, if we make them in-house, purchase price would be 0. If we buy them, then the purchase price would be what, $70? Okay, so now let's total these. We're just adding these numbers together. Same here and here. Okay, now if we only look at relevant cost or differential cost, costs that will be different depending on the alternative that we choose. Remember, those fixed factory overhead costs are going to be present either whether we make the carrying case in-house or whether we buy it from that outside party. Looks like the choice should be to make the carrying case in-house because we would realize a cost savings of $2 per case. So B asks, on the basis of the data presented, would it be advisable to make the carrying cases or continue buying them? We said assuming the excess capacity could not be used for a more productive purpose, and we don't know that, but assuming it could not be, the carrying cases should be produced in-house at a cost savings of $2 per unit. Fixed factory overhead is not relevant to the decision because it will remain the same under each alternative. Whether we make the carrying cases or buy them, that fixed factory overhead is still present. So the decision here would be to make the cases at a cost savings of $2 each. Now, if the make price had been $72 when we only considered variable factory overhead, then the decision would have been to buy the carrying cases. Okay, again, practice that one on paper as well. If you have any questions, please be in touch. Thank you.